Welcome back to 4 Geeks by Geeks, the place where geeks come to geek out. As always, I'm Bozer. And check it, you guys. We got the cannon back. I've been so excited. Y'all know that I'm a big camera whore. And when it was not working with my previous setup, it killed me somewhere deep inside. And so I'm so excited to finally have it back. And I'm just hoping that y'all can hear me right now, to be honest. Because I've been doing some futzing with the setup. So tonight might be a little bit of, we'll figure out what's not working. So if it's not working, please let me know. Like, I've already discovered that in this plan, I told my guest that he could totally see the Twitch chat on the screen that we're in the green room. That's not true. I'm realizing it in real time. So apologies, but you can always come over to Twitch and check us out. And if this is your first time on a Monday night, it's a Geek Out Sesh, y'all. We do this each and every Monday night, except for the ones that we don't. And we geek out with a brand new guest, whether they are a content creator, an artist, a game developer, a cosplayer, geeks of all kinds, just to get a chance to come on to the internet and celebrate themselves. Just geek out about what they love for once, because it's important. And, you know, there's always somebody there at 3 a.m. where you're really excited about something and there's no one to geek out with. And guess what? That's no longer the case because you have us. It's just me tonight, running solo. T is unfortunately unable to join us tonight. So wish him all the best. Give him some love in the chat. But thank you all for you joining, especially all the new subs. Thank you. Looked like Alec was raining down the subs. So thanks for gifting all the subs, Alec. But honestly, I'm really excited to be here. More and more, this space is kind of getting sorted out. We're ironing the kinks. Y'all seen the last couple weeks that we had quite the number of kinks to work out, but it's starting to feel like a real studio. Like I put a desk here, and you no longer can see the bare white walls on the side of the room. Which in my vision, like you were never going to see the white walls, and we did, and I hated it. But now they're gone. I really just demolished them. They're not there anymore. It's big open space. I'm looking after the neighbor's yard right now. But I'm glad you all are here with us. Thanks for joining. Especially if you are big into D&D, the TTRPG scene, you can never find a game to play with. You're a GM with so many ideas, but your friends don't understand the joy of a TTRPG. You have no one to share them with. I think tonight we're going to solve all your problems, whether you are on the West Coast or the East Coast or abroad across the globe, because my guest tonight has all the solutions. But we'll get to that in just a moment. As a reminder, if y'all don't have your tickets to MysticCon yet, I don't know what you're waiting for, because have you heard? T and I going to be there. We're going to be there the whole weekend, because we are emceeing and hosting the entire event. Got to touch base with the guys from MysticCon, Morgan and Chris, and get some more details, which just like excited and terrified me even deeply. And like the days are ticking. It's almost October, and I can't believe that it's finally going to be the month where we get to travel to California, see so many of the geek guests that we've met here on the channel, but never in person. That's probably going to send my heart rate just through the roof on its own, and let alone just geek out with countless people from all over about TTRPGs. And, hang out with Luke Gygax. Yeah, that's a thing. He's going to be the keynote speaker. The son of Gary Gygax, founder of D&D, is going to be there. And we get to hang out with him. And I'm just praying that I don't make a giant ass of myself. I guess that's the best way I can put it. Yeah. But catching up on the chat here, Alec, woo, thank you for all those gifts, Alec. Alec has been longtime OG fan, like family member of FGBG, so grateful for that. Got the hype train going. Woot woot. An extra Bozer hates white walls. That's probably a troll that I don't understand because I'm a grandpa and I don't get what you new kids in your newfangled language. 6'7"? 6'7"? That's the big thing at the school right now. They're saying that, and I had a fourth grader say that to me the other day, and I asked her, tell me what that means. She didn't know. I'm like, you are saying it. You're what the young ones. You're supposed to know. She's like, I don't know. The other kids say it. I was like, what if it means something really bad? And she didn't care. We're gonna get ready to bring him in. I'm really excited because more and more I'm feeling like the world is creating pathways for new D&D players, really talented GMs to have a platform to be able to share their gift, to play with new people. And these guys over at Arcane Circle are doing that exact thing. So I'm excited to be joined tonight with the very talented, and from what I've learned before the stream, man with a wealth of knowledge and experience from all different places, pumping it towards this one endeavor. So please join me in welcoming my geek guest tonight from Arcane Circle. Say hello to Mike.
Hello there. Thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing amazingly right now. I'm doing incredibly. I'm doing whatever else I can add to this laundry list of adjectives, but I am doing amazing.
Sorry for all the faces that I just made there. That was me like popping over to Twitch. I'm like, can we hear him? We can hear him. And then not realizing that it showed all of that on the stream.
You know, tis the life of a streamer.
It really is.
Isn't that just the case? Isn't that just the case?
The longest time, my co-host T gives me all the shit for it, because for the longest time I fought the like technical difficulty being our brand and making merch for it. I was like, no, we're better than that. But we aren't, because nobody is. Doesn't matter if you have.
Yeah, I guess you're not tech problems. You're not exclusive on that, man. You're sharing this heartache with everyone else with a Twitch account.
I think it's a real like badge of honor when you have those major technical difficulties.
You know, I think that's probably right.
At least that's what it's at itself, so I can sleep tonight.
Yeah, sure.
Sound good? Well, thanks for being here, Mike. I'm really am excited. But for anybody that doesn't know who you are, or especially about Arcane Circle, which from what I understand is a relatively new endeavor, so they might not. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do as a geek.
Sure. Hi, I'm Mike Ortiz. I am a several decade GM. I've been running games for a very long time. And in between that period, I was, for like 6 of those years of those sort of over a decade experience, I've been producing TTRPG content online, whether that is through live streams, one-shots, collaborating with TTRPG content creators and crafters of all sorts. And then for like 3 of those, once again, the decade years, I've been a pro GM, meaning that it's how I pay my rent. You know, I run games with paid seats, and that's how I have food in my stomach and a roof over my head. I guess I'm just I see myself as an experienced storyteller, to say the least.
You know, it was like 2 weeks ago with West Coast Adventurers Guild that I think I first was introduced to the idea of being a pro DM was a job somebody could have.
Yeah.
And I wrote on my answer in 3rd grade, what do I want to be when I grow up? Completely wrong.
Absolutely not. Yeah, not absolutely. I don't even remember what I wrote.
It wasn't pro DM.
I think I wanted to be like a race car driver, which is super funny because I am not a mechanical sort. Honestly, it's one of those things where like I have other people telling me to go get my oil change, and I'm like, why? It runs just fine. It's like, you've been running on this for a year. I'm like,
if it works, why fix it? That's the phrase. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. While it's tearing down, and I know it's happening.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So, I mean, kudos to you. Can I just like give you a round of applause for like crafting the reality in which now you pay your bills by DMing tables? I think that's incredible.
I knew when I sat down to think about what I was doing on a day-to-day that I was lucky. I think that's sort of the phrase here, is like, I was very lucky. It's a lot of hard work to earn individuals' trust who come back for games, and ensuring that everyone's having a good time. So there definitely is like elbow grease placed into this. And I think for anyone who might be hearing like you can pay your rent by playing D&D or running games, yes, you can. But it's not. I think anything that is worth enough to kind of make a living. There's a lot of work behind it. Yes. So yeah, just remember, guys, it's even if you want to go out in that same venture, you can. I encourage you. More stories in the TTRPG industry is better for all of us. Just prepare to put the elbows down and really kind of get into it.
Yeah, I heard a quote today. It was like, effort is what pulls you off the canvas when like you get knocked out by luck or something like that.
Oh, that's really good.
I was like, okay, dang.
Yeah.
But I would go as far as to completely undo what you said. You're not lucky. Like, you worked. You probably were provided opportunity like so many of us are, but then you didn't just waste those. You ran with it, and now you have created countless memories for millions of people.
That's fair. I'm also like every other GM where I have there's an imposter syndrome. I think every GM who sits in the seat goes, I don't know if my game is fun. And I think that is definitely where I sit on most of and anything I kind of do where I'm like, I guess I'm doing it. Hopefully it's working.
I mean, if you're paying your bills, I guess you must be doing something right.
Yeah, but I guess that's as far as I can say.
Any creative, I believe, has to experience some imposter syndrome. It's the ones that don't that I worry about.
Yeah, I've been in rooms with people like that, and I generally excuse myself to the restroom and don't come back.
Yeah, something ain't right. You gotta have some doubt. I don't know if it's healthy or we've all just adopted this level of disbalance in our psyches that we're just gonna be fine with.
I'm very lucky to know a few individuals who are very popular and they are successful in their own ventures of content creation. And even them, when I've talked to them and they're well established and they don't have to worry about, any kind of things that would rock them out of comfort living. Right. Where even then they are very restricted in the way they describe how they're doing. They're like, yeah, I'm doing okay. They're not so obtruse about it where they're like, oh, I'm doing so amazing, I can't wait to buy my second Porsche situation. They're just like, I'm doing okay, I'm doing all right. And I think that's a good sign of someone who knows that content creation definitely can be a rocky venture to get into, and there's a lot of effort being put in the background, and we recognize it.
See, since you downplayed your success so early in the stream, now I'm thinking that you have at least 4 Porsches.
You're the first to know then. Because I don't know.
All right, chat, buy this man a Porsche.
All right, let's go.
Well, let's backtrack just a little bit. Before we get into what created Arcane Circle, take it back to your story. How did you first get into this business and the evolution to arrive you to where you're at today with Arcane Circle?
Yeah, it's so funny. I got started with a content creator who I think a lot of the younger generation is probably never going to be able to hear. They don't know this person, and even now they kind of ran into. I'll say this much: they were a content creator who got canceled. So they're probably not really as. I hope not. Hope none of us do. But there was a content creator named the Spoony One. Noah Antwiler, who he used to create a lot of gaming content, and one of the things that he sort of touted himself being about was that he was a game master. He was a TTRPG player, and I was sort of deep in that scene of watching early YouTube internet reviewers and finding all these people who are very AVGN situation, and I really enjoyed his content, and I kind of got sucked into this D&D talk, and I started to watch actual plays. And they weren't as spiffed up of a Critical Role. They were a camera, and they were in a convention, and I would watch these things and I would get really, really interested. And then that was it. That was my passing interest. And then I worked for a company called Newegg, which is a really large multi-billion-dollar company. And one of my coworkers we had this journalist content creation studio team. And I was doing work for them, as part of my job, and he went up to me and he was like, "Hey man, do you want to play my game?" I jumped at that chance. Hell yeah. And that game lasted 8 years.
I mean, that's an achievement right there. Just retire. You can have D&D.
It lasted for 8 years. I played it from level 2 to level 20.
I didn't know people could actually make it all the way to 20 without.
Honestly, it's a feat in itself.
Okay, by the way, y'all, look at him flex his drinking horn.
Mm-hmm.
He got.
I told you I'd bring out something.
Did you bring some mine?
Okay, there we go. Perfect.
He's like, we'll see. Let's see what I drink out of. And you're right.
What's a stream without some competition, man?
Great. I'm gonna fire that game at the end. That we're gonna go head to head, and I will absolutely lose. Now I might have some lightning round questions for you at the end. So see if you have any questions in you at the end. So you get into this game and you played for 8 years. Now, not to like age you, but can you help me understand about how old were you when you first like got into D&D?
I don't know. I don't know how old I am. I was early 20s. I would think, I was early 20s. Okay. I could not give you, I don't know how old I am sometimes, but I was early 20s. I got into this game and I got really sucked into it. And then I had another co-host, or co-worker, but co-host, they were doing productions with me. And I offhandedly, I was like, he asked me if I knew what Critical Role was. And I was like, yeah, I heard about it, but it's all right. I don't know if I have time. And he goes, you should watch it. He gave me like an episode to start with. Yeah. And it was like episode 28 or something along that lines. He goes, just watch it from that point on, season 1. And I did. Okay. Season 1. So campaign 1, and I watched the entire thing. And then during the time of sort of before COVID hit, I was watching campaign 2, and I was like, you know what? I could be a GM, and I got a bunch of friends together, and we were playing TTR. I was playing D&D, and I was running it for them only for maybe 2 years. Okay. And we did it from. So pretty good. And we knew that we were going to stop like at level 12. So we went for like level 1 to level 12. And it was a complete game. It was a complete story. And I was like, you know what? Part of my job is doing productions. Let's just make this a channel. So I got a bunch of my friends and we played D&D for 4 years beyond that point, and played a full campaign from level 1 to level 20. It lasted 4 years and we finished it. And now we're on campaign 2. And that's being produced. So I've been doing this for a while. And I guess the stem of where this sort of got out was like, I already had this experience, so I went through a couple of sites where they do allow you to charge for seats. Okay. And I started to notice something when I was switching over from Chrome. I went from Chrome to Brave, which is sort of a different browser. It's supposed to be faster. I'm still testing it. And I started to realize there were so many sites I was using to just run my games. There was a VTT, there was the game discovery, there was a campaign wiki, there was like yada, 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 all these other sites. And I had to bookmark and re-sign into all these things. And I went, you know what? Hey, why don't we just have it in one place? And that was sort of the birth of the idea.
Okay. So then with Arcane Circle, the idea is that people can come in, join the game. Everything that you might need as a GM and a player is all right there within the same platform.
Yeah. So it is on a base game discovery. It is a place where GMs can list out their games, whom they're looking for players, and players can jump in and find a game they want. In the back end, the GM can then, when they list out their game, they have the option of creating a campaign wiki tied to that game. So in other words, they will have a way to not only have all their players join in, but then they'll also have a campaign wiki assigned to it where they can then start to write out their world or, make special pages for certain players, which they can then contribute to. We want to expand it where we understand there are certain players who are the note takers. So giving them the option, oh my God, note takers. I love and hate them. I love them more than I hate them, but I love and hate them. I'll do like an accent, and my player goes, "That's not what they sounded like. I wrote it down. They had this accent." I'm like, they changed. was like, I don't remember.
They had a midlife crisis in the middle. You don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. And so we wanted to give them some love, give the players some love who would love to play, note taker. And at the same time, we wanted if the GM and the players wanted to, we would offer them a VTT where they can just kind of bring their party into it immediately. And all of this without having to switch from account to account to account.
And so VTT, defined for those that aren't familiar with that term.
Oh, a virtual tabletop. That, you'll find those like a Roll20, was it a Foundry? Yeah, Foundry. Alchemy is really good. I recognize there's some really good VTTs out there.
So I guess I don't want to get like too technical too soon, but like what that sounds like is, why hasn't this existed before? Like when all
you're telling me
exist, but within each platform, I clearly don't know a lot about technology in that kind of like deep coding way, but it sounds like it must take a lot of things to make each one of those platforms run separately, but you're going to put them all together.
Yeah. I'm really lucky that when I started the Arcane Circle, I started with 2 other people. It's not just me. Amber Rockamonta is our COO. She's the one sort of handling a lot of the back end, making sure that we're like, she was the one communicating with you. Yeah. Sort of get this collaborative.
I remember that name.
Yeah. And then, ironically enough, there's another Michael Carmody, and he is our CTO. And he is a dev genius. He's actually making his own game. So I know that there is,
Of course he is.
I mean, prerequisite. And he's making his own game. So he already had sort of like dev knowledge beyond just web development. There's also sort of a game dev behind it. And so it sort of was just a match in heaven where he understood the scene. He was a GM himself. We're all GMs, Amber as well. All the founders are GMs. And so we kind of talked it out. We understood the need to just have one place to have it all. And we just started to really grind it out.
I love that you're all GMs, because it's like none of you are going to lose the point of it all.
Yeah.
Because you know all what it's pointing towards coming from that experience. How'd you meet these people? They just like fell into your life, or did you seek them out? Like, this sounds like the dream team.
Amber wrote about that. She's my wife. So I'm very lucky that that was sort of an easy thing. She fell into my lap. She, I know from her past experience as well, that she used to handle like government contracts and sort of organization of, there were like physical transfers that she had to sort of handle. I'm sort of being vague because I don't know how much I should divulge on her front. But beyond that, I know that I already had much respect for her work ethic, and we work really well together. And then I met Carmody, which is good. Yeah, it's great.
All couples work that well together. So
that's so valid. Yeah. We've been together for that's a whole separate conversation, but for so long.
Just about your relationship. We're gonna
we're gonna turn this into a different podcast. And I met Carmody on LinkedIn. I had a very simple, I'm looking for a co-founder, CTO, and he applied. And we had maybe 3 talks. And the first one was very down to business of like, hey, what can you do? What do you think of what we have here? Let's just sort of talk it out in terms of our experience. The second talk was just us. I don't know if you allow swearing.
Please do.
We were just shooting the shit. That's the whole point of our second call, was just to be like, so what'd you do this weekend, man? Yeah. Like, do we get along?
That's great.
And we just having a good time. And that's kind of just how it blossomed from there. And he believed in the craft. Amber's been telling me for the longest time just to go out and do something on my own instead of working for other people. Just make your own stuff. So she already had my backing, and I just sort of hit the ground and started to go.
Good for you guys. That gives me a lot of encouragement, because like whenever I see it, we all see it so often nowadays. You're scrolling through and you see some new startup happening, whether it's in the gaming scene or TTRPG or whatever. But some of my first thoughts are like, well, I hope they work well together, because then like 6 months down the road, or maybe after their first year, they might fall to pieces. And it's mainly just because they have like creative differences, or like they don't get along, or they don't have the same vision. but it sounds like you've already like ironed those things out, especially maybe at the nuptials. You ironed some of those wrinkles out.
Yeah. I was very honest because I've been a part of startups in the past, not as a founder or someone leading the charge. I was very much of like the first employee who got hired. You know, I was always kept at arm's length.
Wow, first pick.
And always meant. And I told them right away, I was like, I've seen how some startups die. And I know that it is because sometimes we're different. We're human. We butt heads. We have different, preferences. And so it very much came to a point where like I sat down, all three of us, and I was like, listen, there's going to be a point in this venture where we're going to hate each other because you're passionate about something that you want to do, and I'm telling you no, or there's something that I'm really passionate, and both of you overthrow me and go, no, we're not doing that. I go, there's going to be a point where we hate each other, but we need to start thinking about it that it's not us against each other. It is passion versus passion. And that's where sort of the best ideas come from, is when someone goes, no, listen to me. This is what happens if you do this. And the other person comes in and goes, all right, it's not you versus me. This is just ideas that are clashing. Let's see if we can find something that works. And that's kind of the mentality I brought in with them. And I was like, we're going to hit that someday.
I love that idea because it removes the ego from the conversation. It's just like taking us down to our human level. We care about things. It's not like you said, it's not about us. It's about like this thing that we all care about. So it takes the heat out of the argument, just being able to
It does.
That gives me a great glimpse into the conflict that maybe you and your wife might have on time to time. Sure, it just I'm getting marital advice from you right now.
I mean, that's kind of what it all is it's a lot of I feels.
Oh God, it's therapy all over again. Okay, so clearly this platform, it sounds like it's going to be built really well, or it is built really well. Are we at the point that like we can jump in right now? Talk to me about if someone's listening, whether it's live in the stream or back on the YouTube or podcast, they're like, yes, I want in. How do they do that?
Best way to get in right now is there needs to be a discussion. So let's take a step back. Right now, we're currently in our alpha MVP stage. Minimal value product is what MVP stands for in this case. And what it essentially means is that we have kind of the skeleton of the site. And I'll sort of tell everyone in the audience, it works. It's working. You can run a game and you can get paid for your craft. You can charge for your seats and you get paid for craft. You can make this a gig job. You can make this a career if you really put your sort of elbows down to it. So it works. You can organize everything. There's a calendar. There's a way you can skip players if they can't make it a certain session. There's a way to book things. It's all there needed. The only reason that we've sort of held back from like doing a full release is because we still want to iron out the things that we promised. We still want to offer there to be at least a wiki while we work on the VTT. We do have a bare bones wiki. We do have it. It's there. And players do it and GMs have access to it. But it's not up to my standards. Okay. And so I've been doing this for so long that I know what GMs need. At least majority, I don't want to say all GMs. Everyone has their own way of note taking. I respect it. But there needs to be at least a level.
Wrong.
Yeah, I'm wrong. It's not, I might be. I probably am. But I understand there should be a level that needs to be met. And that's kind of where we're headed to. So we are going to start with the alpha stage where we have maybe about a handful of, GMs who are running the ropes, and they're kind of like running the system through what it needs to. And we are slowly going to start adding new people. So if you really think this is really cool and you're like, but I really want to be part of the alpha stage, join the Discord. Join the Arcane Circle Discord and reach out to me. We can have a discussion and we can see it, because we're trying to avoid a massive sea of GM voices telling us like the things that need to be fixed or things that need to be added, because we just want to make sure that it works to the fullest at the moment, and then we can start adding more people.
Yeah, like right now it's a baby learning to walk, and it doesn't need 1,000 parents all telling it how.
Essentially,
it needs a strong foundation, and then it'll take a village, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, to sort of show my hand a little bit, we are in the alpha stage and we hope to be in closed beta, which would be invite a lot more people. And that should occur, I want to say, maybe in the next 2 weeks or so.
Great.
Yes. So pretty soon. And then we should be moving into sort of more of an open beta. And that should be later in October, around that period. Things will change. Things are variable, but that's kind of the goal we've set for ourselves.
Okay. No, that's really encouraging. I love the confidence. Like, I don't mean that to sound the wrong way. Like, it's the same reason why I wonder anybody wants to be on this show, because I don't feel like I'm apologizing for everything going wrong the entire time. But I'm not sensing that from you. So this, like, I feel like you know what you're doing, at least from the vibe check.
I've lived in that era of I'll do it. Like if it came to a thing where even before I met Carmody, our CTO, I've never done it before, but I did it. And I started to do web design. Like I wasn't developing it. I was just sort of putting blocks together and making art. And I was like, this is how I want it to look like. And he even told me, he goes, I've been a part of other startups. And he goes, no one has gone this far to make like a draft on their own. So that's why he felt very confident to join me. So we have that mentality that I'll just do it myself. You know, like we will all put our sort of nose down to the floor and just sort of really get things done.
So then we're ideally, again, I don't want to hold you to any sort of flame, because like,
sure,
it is technology. We all know how that goes, especially as you start to add more people into it.
I worked in customer service. You never give 100%. You never give 100%.
But what can you tell those people that are like, will it really work? Like, what sort of tests have you done in the background? Like, I know that you have some games playing right now. How many games? What sort of issues have you run into, if you're willing to share, just to kind of speak those out and know how you worked out the issues?
Yeah. It's currently, I think we have 3 games currently ongoing.
Okay.
From these handful of GMs. And then we have 2 games that are currently created and they're waiting to get their own players involved. Okay. So far we have a good handful of testing grounds here. We have run into absolutely run into problems. Yeah. We've run into problems where time doesn't sync. You know, someone sets the game hour to be 6 p.m. and instead it shows on the site as 3 p.m.
Yeah.
We've had random desyncings and things like that. I think the most pressing issue we've had in the most recently has been, we have an invite system that if you are part of the alpha or you wanted to grab players and put them in the alpha, we've had problems where the code doesn't work, in which it's a very simple fix. Where we just sort of go back we're like, and work now. And then it starts to act the way it should. But we have the way that players interact with us and GMs interact with us is that they go to our Discord. We have a little alpha tester category that only alpha testers have access to. And we talk. We always reach out to them and be like, hey, who's having problems? I recently made, last week, I made 5 tutorial videos just for our alpha testers. I'm like, I will walk you through every process. And if it doesn't look this way, tell us.
And I kind of love that it's basically what, you 3 of you that are running this entire thing. And I love that because it feels like the bigger companies get, the absolute worse their product becomes, especially in the terms of customer service, which I'm like, why didn't that expand with the rest of your company? So I love the companies that at least are currently small or keep it small, just because you're going to get that one-to-one interaction. And I'm sure eventually you'll need to expand, which would be a great thing for you.
Oh, yeah.
But right now it's got all the heart of all 3 of you into every
We're in a good spot where we can literally reach out to a GM and be like, yes, I'm the owner, but tell me what's going on. Let me help you.
It's your baby.
It is. Oh my God. It's so young. So young.
A few months old, right?
It's 2 months old.
It's asinine to me that you've created all this in just 2 months. like it's taken me 6 years to get OBS working, and you've created an entire platform that combines everything on the internet into one spot.
It is so interesting that when I was looking for a developer, because I'm definitely not development inclined, I would go to these workshops and get-togethers with other founders, and they would have people who, are looking for CEOs and ideas whom they can work with, and that didn't really kind of venture out anything. Like I didn't grab anyone from those kind of calls and meetups, but I met so many people who are just willing to like they were like, can I follow you? Because I love TTRPGs. And it's so wild to think that all of the sort of the drive we got and the initial sort of get-go came from just people who are like, oh my God, I used to play back in college, or I used to play back when I was young. And we're everywhere. Dice rollers are everywhere. And you would not expect them to be there, but they're in corporate America and corporate, global, sort of that global sphere. You'll find someone who plays TTRPGs.
Yeah, and it's, even though it's becoming more and more popularized, it's still something that, like, I don't know, like, we don't want to brag about, which I think we should. And, like, that's how, like, our whole thing here is the more you geek out loud about your passion, then you find your tribe, and you'll never find your tribe until you geek out loud. So I'm hoping that more people do that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. It becomes, because it's so niche, it becomes one of those things where you'll say that you play Dungeons and Dragons, and there's that one person in the back going, you play Dungeons and Dragons? Really? You want to talk? Let's talk. And that's how this, and it's one of those things where, like, I'll be in a call with a bunch of other founders, and one person's talking about, escrow, and another person talking about, real estate, I should say, real estate, another person talking about medical stuff. And I'll go, I play games. And they'll go, you do? Oh, I used to too. And it for some reason, the TTRPG industry just brings out that vibrancy out of everyone, which is why I love it so much.
Yeah, what do you think it is? Because I feel like I've experienced that. I am fairly new to the TTRPG space. Like, it's really been within the last 5 years that I've fallen utterly in love with these games. And I've been trying to, like, put my finger on it. And so I keep asking people, like, what do you think makes TTRPG so entirely different than a video game or even a board game or any other space of gaming?
I've had this thought for a while, and I think it just goes down to, and this is there's more to it, but immersion.
Yeah.
There was this thought I had where in all of the entertainment spaces, whether it's books and movies, that's a passive experience. Sure. You are sitting down, you're reading, and you are taking onto an adventure, but it's passive.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do to connect that. Video games are amazing. I love Baldur's Gate 3, and I love playing all these other games, and you can experience the story and be immersed in it to a certain degree. There's a certain point where, listen, GM, I want to go ahead and cast guiding bolt, but I want it to arch. And the GM could tell you, sure, we can make that work. We'll go a little against the rules. Video games do have that limitation.
Yeah.
TTRPGs, and I think why it's so vibrant and why it's so great is because it's just complete immersion. The only thing stopping you is a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not to only highlight Critical Role, but I didn't mention earlier, that's kind of how I got into it too. Like, I first started to it, and then I'm like, wait, this is D&D? And I know there's so many different podcasts out there that kind of take different flavors on it, but it was just the first one I listened to, so it's the first one I fell in love with. But Laura Bailey just had an interview with some of the cast members about her first time playing D&D, and it was kind of that thing, is she compared it to video games. She's like, in role-playing, like, you can pick a couple options of what your character might say.
Oh, nice.
Quite what you wanted to say, or it didn't matter what you said, they were always going to take it not quite the way you meant it.
Yeah, like you're always heading towards the end of the game that was coded.
Right. They're railroading you. But in TTRPGs, like, you can say what you mean, exactly how you mean it. And if it's not taken how you meant it, then you can say, wait, no, that's not what I meant. What I meant was this. And it's like that immersion, like you said. That's my
it is the most immersive gaming experience that anyone can have. It does require a lot of work, though. but it is the most immersive gaming experience you can ever have.
Especially as a GM.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's kind of the thought process of Arcane Circle. Is it was already as a GM, I had to learn how to run PTTs. I had to learn how to organize my notes. I had to learn the best way to attract players and game discovery sites. I had to what's the best way to organize, all these other things and my players, my everything else. And it was sort of this idea of like, can we just not have 7 logins, please? This should be helpful. This should help me.
Because especially when it's your job, like if you, granted you kind of went on your own and made your own thing, but like there should be a platform that has everything you need rather than you just hobbling every weird place of the internet together.
I have a GM, so we've talked about this. We talked a little bit before stream about the uncomfortable amount of games that I'm a part of.
Yeah, he didn't tell me before stream. He wouldn't give me the number.
So I am a part of 5 games a week.
Different games?
Different games.
Okay.
So I am a player in one D&D game, one D&D campaign, and for that DM or GM I'm playing with, he runs a total of, I want to say 6 or 7 games a week. And he is definitely, that is his career. So he's
time for anything else.
He runs a game in the morning and he runs a game at night. And I all power to him, and I absolutely adore the way he tells stories. But he's told me multiple times, he's like, man, like some days the most mundane things are the most annoying. Like I have to fix my VTT. It's not working. And now that might ruin 3 other games I have planned for the rest of the week. And so I was like, yep, you have to learn something new. Oh, there's a new update? That's fun. I'm part of that. And I'm also part of a Blades in the Dark campaign as a player. And then for the remaining 3 days, I am GMing. I DM 3 games.
So part of are like part of the job?
Nope. Those, part of my job.
Or a cat?
That was a cat.
Oh.
I have I have an older cat who likes to hang out by my chair. And so sometimes I don't know if she's there. You all right? Really sorry.
It's like, how dare I put myself on your chair? How dare you step on?
Freaked out that I moved my chair.
I once had on stream someone's cat like just fall straight onto their head from itself. It was amazing. It's the reason they are taking up a big portion of the internet. But so 3 of the games are DMing for your job, and then 2 are by choice?
By choice. Yes. So I mentioned before that I was part of a game for 8 years. That was my first GM. He invited me to a Blaze in the Dark campaign, and I said, well, how could I say no?
Yeah, how?
And so I can't say no. So now we've been playing for 2 years, going on 3. So technically, he's been my GM for 10 full years.
So you either are utterly in love with this man or hate his guts?
He's incredible. I absolutely love him. He is part of my streamed games.
But my question was, so many times I've talked to people on this show that have been fortunate enough to turn their passion into their career path. But just as I'm sure you found, it's not as glamorous as it sounds. So a lot of people might be watching this thinking, yes, that's what I want to do. I want the easy route of being able to play D&D all day and making money off of it. Give me a little real talk about what that's like, maybe some challenges that you run into, maybe particularly in mental bandwidth, creativity.
I ever since I finished my first campaign that was streamed, I had this rule that really helped me out mentally, which is I skip every last week of every month. So the last week of every month, I don't touch it. The last Wednesday, the last Friday, the last Tuesday, you cannot get me to run a game unless it's for certain circumstances, like I am planning for something. That is an immensely useful tool for me to kind of keep my batteries recharged. It allows me to prep and plan, and allows me not like I could use the game time to like start to write out stuff that's going to happen for my players. It allows me to prep, like future proof and everything. It allows me to do recordings and editing and really kind of it allows me to get all the busy work done without having to worry I have to spend 4 hours telling these amazing stories, but that also puts me back, like I'm now falling behind on other work I need to get done. Sure. Real talk about, doing this as a living, especially just running games as a living. It's unfortunate, but you really got to treat it like a standard content creator. When you're making a YouTube channel, you won't get views if you're just doing what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
There has to be some clickbaity, thumbnail. You have to think about that. You have to think about the way that you are titling your games. And then there has to be some substance behind it. I'm really lucky to have very vocal players who tell me that I do run good games. Mm-hmm. And again, there's a complexity here, whether or not I am, but I get told enough that I run good games. So
believe it. Some days.
Some days I'm like, yeah, that was a good game. Some days I'm like, they're just joshing me right now. They're just juicing me up.
Yeah.
But it's good to be humble. But you have to have that. There needs to be a drive. There used to be a thing that I used to be a variety streamer for companies. We would play games and we would essentially just play what we want. And occasionally there would be times where the company would come to me and go, you need to play this game. We're getting sponsored by this person. You need to play this game. And sometimes I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Most of the times I didn't. And that was sort of a rule I used to tell streamers was, don't worry what the new hot game is that's on Twitch. Just play what you enjoy, because the moment you start enjoying your time, people are going to feel infectious, and they're going to want to do that as well. They're going to want to watch you play something you like or you're really good at. So when it comes to D&D, you need to have that drive and passion, because if you play a game and you're like, okay, and you get 20 gold, who else wants to go now? Like, right. If you are deadpan and no one's enjoying your games, and you have to be flexible in how you do that. There has to be some substance behind the clickbaiting.
It comes back to this, like my favorite quote of all time is by Henry Thoreau, who said, like, ask not what the world needs, but ask what makes you come fully alive. Because what the world needs is for those who have come fully alive. And like, that's basically what you just said. Like, don't play that game that the world is asking for. Play what makes you happy, because what makes you happy is going to be what the world is asking for. And that's going to ignite further creativity and further excitement, and inspire new players to want to jump in because you were just doing your own thing. And it made you happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, bandwidth is always like the bane of my existence. Like, this channel it's not my full time, obviously. And there are even some days where I'm like, I just don't have like the mental bandwidth to do it. And then when I have guests like you and countless others come on, and I just hear them like, wow, your stress threshold is much higher than mine. That's amazing. So I always try to gain something personally by everybody who comes on this, and like, okay, what can I learn from you to help in my own endeavors?
Yeah. I think, especially when it comes to content creation, the best advice I can give people is you are going to have those days where you're just like, I don't want to do it today. Like, I would rather just sit on my phone on the couch and just scroll TikTok for 3 hours, or I rather just watch this movie and just go to sleep. You're going to have those days. And as a content creator, you really should start thinking about not having to work every single day. It should be one of those moments where when you have the energy to do it, hit it.
Work like crazy.
And it's one of those things where, like, for content creators, it's great. You can literally make multiple videos of, like, TikTok videos are great, where you can just record yourself for 2 minutes and go, good. Don't publish it just yet. Make another one if you still have the energy, and then make another one if you have more energy, and bank content. We have an actual play channel called Arcane Focus, not Arcane Circle. And Arcane Focus, that's where we do a lot of our stream games. Mm-hmm. And we have videos backed up we have a bank of content that'll last us until December.
Nice.
And it's on.
We keep recording.
We just keep on recording, and we do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Because we know there are going to be days where like someone's like, "Hey, 4 of us can't make it IRL," which is very important to us. We want IRL to be sort of that first. So you are going to find moments where you're just not going to want to do anything. Hey, that's fine. When you do feel like you're up for it, make multiple. Just make sure you do small things that you can schedule out. That way you can feel like, okay, I have a full week's of content. I can relax for 7 days. Like, that's nice.
That's all I'm hearing is I have to make 7 days of content before.
No, don't do it. No, you know, like that was a rough example. But I am different. As mentioned before, I used to do streaming for a company called Newegg, and there was a certain point in my career where the higher ups came down and they were like, "Hey, we're shrinking things, and you can't do content anymore. You got to focus on these other aspects of your job." Which, hey, I knew what my job description was. That was just a part of it.
Sure.
And I experienced it firsthand, how it felt to create something, and then how it felt of that creativity to be squandered and get squashed. And I realized something about myself, that I felt not like myself. I think that was like the first time I felt like truly depressed, was I could not make anything. And I was like, oh my God, now I understand my own experience, my own person, where if I'm not making something, I don't feel good. Mm-hmm. So I like it where if I sit down and I'm doing Photoshop and I'm like, yeah, little pictures for things, or I'm doing Adobe Premiere where I'm like editing videos, or I'm recording, or I'm writing a script. If I'm not doing that, I don't feel like myself.
Well, good. You found something that makes you come alive.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you were able to carve out like a living from that.
Good on you, it took a long time. I mean, I'm in my mid-30s, man, and I just found it.
I think the new like midlife crisis happens now, to be honest.
Oh yeah. I can't wait till I decide that I'm going to be a pilot or something.
You go get it.
Yeah, one day I'm going to be like, I don't want to stream. I'm going to be a pilot.
What was that first thing that you said when you wanted to be when you grew up? Was it a pilot?
No, I wanted to be a race car driver. I wanted to be like a NASCAR driver or something. And which is really funny because I don't know how to fix a car at all.
But dang, figure it out.
I'm blessed with certain experiences. That's the one class I chose just not to pay attention in.
You took car fixing class?
Exactly, man. It was I admired in it. Yeah.
To bring this a little closer to home for the Arcane Circle, like we talked about, like what it's like to be a professional GM and like what that takes. You have now created a platform where somebody that maybe wanted to come into that space has an opportunity. What sort of safeguards or protocols or training do you have included so that not me coming in thinking I can do this, come in and completely destroy some players' experiences for the rest of their lives?
It's so exciting that you said the key word. I wish this was like Pee-wee's Playhouse where everything was started to scream because you said this. Yeah, everything started to scream because you said the key word. It's the key word. It's funny, we've looked at, and this is the thing about that building a business, you do have to look at competition. You have to find your niche and you have to find your way in. And there is always, that's sort of the best thing about, this is a living proof of competition breeds improvement and acceleration and sort of a better experience for just the users. I recognize that there were passive ways to learn the game with these companies. There were maybe a quarterly workshop that was being offered, or meetups, or training situations. And I went, no. There needs to be a training feature. There needs to be a thing where, like you mentioned, any Joe Schmo can jump into our platform and go, I want to be a GM. I want that. I want that to happen. I want any Joe Schmo to jump in and go, I want to tell stories. And I want to go, yes, you can. Do you know how? Here's a training module you can go through. And we're going to offer that for our users. Something that we're building is a training module. And upon completion, which it'll train you about a game system, table safety, which is really important, and standard story structure is kind of what we're aiming for in the beginning. Upon completing these tasks, you'll get badges. You'll get a visual representation that you've gone through these courses. And as a player, you can see that. You can go, okay, this GM has gone through the training course. I can see the badge. And there's now there's a little bit more confidence to jump into it.
I respect that.
Even still, I love it. And even still, anyone can go through a training, and I recognize too, anyone can go through a training course and just sort of blow through it. Understand.
We've all done it for work.
Exactly. And so there's the standard accoutrement when it comes to protecting players and GMs, and obviously reporting, flagging, reviews, as well as a robust sort of refund system, sort of like a quick act sort of refund system, just so that way if there's ever a problem, we can implement some sort of safeguards. We understand with TTRPGs, it's kind of hard to safeguard against everything.
Right.
So there is,
immersive.
yeah. And so that there needs to be an easy way for that handshake to occur. We need there to be an easy way for a GM to go, I don't like this player because they said something, abhorred. We need to then have an easy way for them to talk to us so then we can act. Or vice versa. Maybe a player, and I've actually had this experience where I was a player and the GM said something that shook me. I was like, it was so out of left field. And I was like, I don't like you and I'm going to leave right now. And I did. And I was like, it was one of the things where it was so difficult to kind of go through the process. I had to go through like emails. And I'm like, no, it shouldn't be this hard. Just go through the system you're already in.
Because that was a game that you were paying to be a part of?
It was a game I was being paid to be a part of.
Yeah. And because if anybody who hasn't played D&D, I think that's maybe one of the biggest obstacles is like, I don't know, I've got a lot of things that I don't want covered, and like I have to feel comfortable because I'm already uncomfortable playing in a new game that asks you to kind of step outside of yourself.
With strangers.
With strangers. Yeah, a lot of the people that I play with now, I have a monthly in-person game, and a lot of them are new because they're like, I've always wanted to play, but I didn't have the people to play with, and I was just going to play with strangers. Granted, I don't think they knew about platforms like yours or adjacent anyway. But that's the big thing. Like, they have to feel comfortable at the table. And so that this warms my heart greatly to know that, of course, you thought of this. And
yes,
it's in place.
We've had multiple pillars for Arcane Circle, and sort of the main one was table safety is one of our main pillars. So every action we make, we always have that thought, sort of the goal in the back of the mind, like, okay, we're implementing this new change. Does that affect the pillars? Does that make it worse for safety? No. Does it improve it? Great. And there's always that discussion whenever me or the other founders are coming together and we're like, what else do we want to add today? And we have to have that conversation of, does this harm safety? Or another pillar is, does it make it harder for the GM? Does it make it easier for the GM? If it's easier for the GM, that's what we're aiming for.
Okay. So those are two pillars. Are there more?
Yeah, there's a one we have.
Put the IP out on the internet, but I'm just curious from like the business standpoint.
Yeah, it's. I'm trying to think of the. I'll pull up the other pillars in mind because for some reason they escaped me at the time. Convenience was one of our other ones, which is so safety. Convenience for the GM. We wanted to be diverse forward. So a lot of we've already started to talk to like other communities who there's an amazing community. I'm gonna give this a incredible shout out for those who don't know. There is a TikTok community who just made their Discord called the Black Codex Society. And they are a Black only community for TTRPG players who want to like find that safe space for them. If they've ever gone through like some sort of experience, and just want to learn with sort of a safe community that they trust, which I've gone on air and say like, hey, if you need a place that feels safe, and especially if it is sort of like minorities, hell yeah, go for it. Do whatever you need to do that makes you feel safe, and make everything you need to do to make yourself feel safe. I am very much pale face forward, but my last name is Ortiz, so I'm Hispanic, and my wife is indigenous, and so we are very lucky to be have some diversity amongst the founders to have that mentality forward. So, and in addition to that, the fourth pillar is we are against AI supplementing creativity.
Okay.
So we like right now we have, there's no AI art on our site. There's no AI text on our site. We don't want to encourage that. As a matter of fact, we're working with a couple of artists right now. I can't wait for that to come out.
Sick. Can't wait to see it. But
I know,
from like a GM standpoint, if they were like, hey, ChatGPT, I need some help with like a puzzle. Like, is that something that's just discouraged or completely banned? Would that like revoke their ability to be a part of Arcane Circle in that way?
No. I think we're currently still in that early phase, whether or not we want to add something to it. So if a GM goes to ChatGPT and they're like, build me a dungeon, and they start to utilize that or switch it up, like use that as the base, one, how would we find out? And two, if they decide to use AI generated like art or something, we won't be happy, but we're not going to tell the GM not to run their game. Yeah. We have teased the idea of maybe GMs can label their game as AI, usage, like there's something, within my game, some sort of AI implementation has been used, just because we understand that is an important topic for a lot of people, and they may not want to encourage the use of it. It's something that we know that for us as a company, we're not going to go out and be like AI. We know, though, it is being used by a good portion of the TTRPG community, even though it is looking, some people do look down on it.
Like D&D 1.
It's kind of hard to tell people, and now you can't play because you used an AI character image. You're allowed to do it, but we're not going to.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with like saying like we as like the founders like don't encourage that kind of thing. And like when you join this, especially from a GM, like this is our kind of expectation. Like you said, people may use it, may not. In most cases, you would never know the difference, especially if it wasn't like something image based.
Yeah.
But like if you make a stance as a company and that's the expectation, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I'm curious on like with AI just getting into every aspect, and especially with Witches of the Coast, like using it themselves.
Oh my God. I was like, come on, man. We're a startup and we're still fronting the bill to pay actual artists. You're a multi-billion-dollar company owned by Hasbro. You gotta stop.
It's the same. They get bigger, but customer service doesn't get better, and apparently neither does the art.
Yeah, it's a nicky feeling to say like that you have the resources and you don't want to use them.
Yeah, I'd rather make more money, right? But it hamstrings your argument, I feel, in like trying to like in this community. I feel like the TTRPG community used to be a little more in solidarity towards like funding an artist to a writer. And now I think with that big blow to the entire culture, how do you continue? I mean, if T were here, he would be flaming against Wizards of the Coast anyway. But it hurts the entire argument.
Yeah. I cannot, and this is sort of the ironic point is, and because I know people can look me up, I joined a company called, and maybe I shouldn't drop the name, but I will say that I did join a company that was AI forward.
Sure.
That was within the TTRPG industry. And when it came down to the content that I was making for them, because I was a content creator, if anyone looks at the channel, they can see that 80% of the content I made was trying to steer away from the discussion of AI, because that was not the features I wanted to encourage the founders to kind of show off. And there were multiple conversations at the back end where I'm like, you are really pushing this, and you got to understand that the TTRPG industry does not see that in a positive light. My time with them didn't last very long. And I think that's because the TTRPG industry spoke with their wallets.
Yeah.
And it kind of was understood. And I definitely sort of took the job because oh my gosh, man, finding a job sometimes is really difficult. And I really wanted one with the TTRPG industry. I will say though, the owners, I love them to death. They are such amazing people. I think they were the nicest bosses I've ever had.
Yeah.
Like I was so blown away where I was like, you guys are being so nice, so caring. And every day they were like, what can I do to help you? And even though they were utilizing AI, the people behind it, I was like, I wish I could just shift you away from it and we can make something incredible, but this is your baby.
Yeah.
Which is where Arcane Focus came out, where I was like, I'm going to make my own baby.
With my wife.
And we're going to have, we're not going to have AI as part of sort of our main staple.
And I think it's just like a lot of topics. I will get into detail on like which topics, because that would be a completely different discussion. But there's so many things that we can agree to disagree. I do believe there are some things that we shouldn't agree to disagree. And I'm not sure the AI is one of them yet, especially in some usage. Like I use AI on the daily for like quick things. But I think there should be a line like for you when trying to support art and artists. And I think the TTRPG culture is so closely aligned with the art culture that if you were to cut them off somehow, like all of a sudden you have no wind beneath your sails.
This is so funny because there was, I was doing a lot of grassroots reaching out to people, like a lot of like DMing, GMs I found online and being like, hey, are you interested in like at least just following us? Just so that we're in your mind. You don't have to sign up. I don't want you to do anything you don't want to do, but just keep our mind in, our name in your mind. And there was one time that a person DM'd me back and they were like, are you AI? And I was like, no. And they're like, okay, cool, I'll follow you. And I was like, that's it. That screams volume. That tells me everything I need to know about the TTRPG mentality towards AI. Is either you don't talk about it or someone is very passionate about it, and a good chunk of us are.
So, and if you're going to start a business in that scene, I think you're smart to play away from it.
Yeah.
Just from a marketing standpoint, let alone anybody's stance on it. Like those are the people that you want to attract. And if the majority of them are for it, then don't play with that fire.
Like there's this interesting thing that we've spoken to other like business experts. And one of them was handling a lot of like getting to know your users, sort of finding your user base. And I was like, well, I already know our users. Like I already know what they like. And he was like, well, no. You can get more finely tuned. And he was creating this thing for us, which was a survey, a very detailed survey about your feelings as a player and a GM on different occasions. Like, how would you feel if you had a campaign wiki integrated in your system? How would you feel if you didn't have it? And it was very detailed. And he included AI. And at first I was like, let's not even talk. You know what? Include it.
Yeah.
I bet you, I was so certain. I was like, yeah, go for it. Yeah, go ahead and say what happens if we include AI. It's going to get smashed. And we're going to be right where we are. We're not going to move forward with it. I know for a fact.
And was that the conclusion?
Pretty much. Everyone was like, yeah, don't have generative AI. One, it looks weird. Two, it takes away jobs from actual artists and creatives who want to get into the space, who have a passion for the TTRPG industry. And generally, it's just sort of bad for the world.
Especially us creatives. like, yeah, I don't need to go down the huge rabbit hole of AI, because that'd be a completely just another.
The ghost of your co-host is somewhere going, AI.
I know. If he was here, and I'm sure he's gonna watch us back and be shouting at the screen so many things that it would have been beneficial to the conversation. But I just know that's a completely different rabbit hole that we could go down for another few hours.
Oh yeah, that's a whole thing.
But to bring it back to the Arcane Circle, we know that as a GM now that you have some training modules in place, which I love. Can we take those even if we aren't running a game?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we wanted we wanted to be front facing, something that once you create an account, you can just take them if you wanted to, just to pass the time.
And
you can earn badges. Will they be live? No. So the way that we've thought about it, again, we're still fairly early in terms of the company's lifespan, but we know that we're going to do pre-recorded modules, something that you can just jump into, almost like a Udemy. If you ever gone through like online courses,
oh sure,
you can like watch a video and then there'll be like a test at the end. There will be ways that you can educate yourself and learn on your own time. Yeah. And then we're also thinking like once in a while we can sit down and we can do live sort of training courses with people. Our biggest hope is that if we can grow large enough, it's not just me talking, it's probably content creators who are deep within the TTRPG industry who are well respected. Like I would love to have, these ingrained faces tell you how to play the game, or not tell you how to play the game, but give you tips and tricks and experienced ideas of how to do the game and the best way to run your game safely.
And like all of us who grew up, because I'm only 5 years in, but like you fell in love with ADM, or at least that was like your gateway. And so like to imagine like those people could be helping you with your modules and your badges. That's be an amazing thought. So that's good to know that I don't have to be running a game to take some, because I would absolutely be taking those courses.
Yeah.
Is there anything on the player side that, especially for the new players, to help encourage like a safe and culturally diverse, creative environment from their point of view?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about like table safety tools, like X&O cards, breaks, wishes and stars, debriefs and all these sort of aftercare that can be utilized in the game, it's pretty universal to help both everyone at the table. So it's going to be something that GMs can take and learn, and they can go, great, these are how you use the tools. And that can also be applied to players where they're like, okay, if this scene is too much for me, I have a line, I have a veil, I can send an X, I can send an O, and it'll also teach GMs like, hey, this is how it works, this is what happens when they do this, and you can understand the action you should take. So like for table safety, that's pretty universal. I think the way that we're going to build it is that it'll be usable for both players and GMs. On the opposite front, learning how a game works and its system, I'm not sure if we'll split those between both players and GMs. I think I want to make it pretty universal that both players and GMs go through the same training course, just so that way they know the ins and outs. Because as a player, you're like, why did you decide that the DC is now 17?
Is it?
Like, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. And so it might help you to have some GM knowledge. And that also encourages players who may not even thought about being a GM to be a GM.
Yeah. And it's good when you're all speaking the same language. And I'm sure it cuts down on those early sessions. You're like, or just like learning how to play. Like I want to get to some storytelling when it feels so clunky. And so I'm sure it kind of saves on a lot of that dialogue and hours.
Imagine a GM and a bunch of players who got together who all have their badges, and they're like, hey, do we need to, have, X talk or Y talk or anything of the sort? Like, you should probably touch on it, but maybe you don't have to have a full session talking about it. Again, we leave it up to the DM's discretion on how they truly want to run it. But it does give you that sort of motive going, okay, they at least know not to do this. And if anyone breaks the rules, you know better.
Yes. I'm just thrilled at how well thought out this is, especially in the fact that you said this was like 2 months old. Like, yeah, this could be way crappier Like if somebody else's hands 2-month-old project wouldn't be so well thought out. But I think it sounds like the people that you brought together to the table and everyone's experience, all you needed was 2 months.
Yeah, and I mean, to even pull back the veil, like we actually have, like we know what courses are going to be there, how they've been scripted, how they've been recorded. That's still in the works. Do we have a badging system? Not yet, but we know that we have a roadmap, and these things are going to be implemented. We have a final goal of what this is going to look like, and that includes all the features you need to run a game, to learn a game, and to do it safely.
So then let's scroll forward a little bit. Like, we know what the final goal is for like the real official launch. Have you guys talked about what this might look like 5 years from now?
Yes.
Like, share a little bit about that. What's that look like for you?
Our assumption is that if it grows large enough within like 5-7 years, that there might be enough funds to play with to really kind of dig our teeth into more aspects of the TTRPG industry. And we're talking about like publications. You are a GM who's been running your games on our system. You've been running a one-shot and you wrote it down in the wiki and you're like, you know what? This would be a great book. How can I do it? And that's a new question now as a GM who wants to be involved in the industry, who goes, now I have to figure that out. Well, maybe further down the road for Arcane Circle, we want to have that where maybe it's a button away and there's an approval process and there is licensing that has to go through that sort of process and there's a talk about it. Maybe there's a thing where we want to integrate print-on-demand services. We may not have the warehouse. We may not buy a warehouse, but we can definitely facilitate a handshake.
Yeah.
That way it's easier where if you go to your GM page and someone's like, these are the games you're running. Here's the books you published, and here's the merch you have. Here's the reviews on the games you're running, and here's your calendar on what games you have planned in the future. Like, we want to have all of this in hand. And something I forgot to mention in terms of the training module, I've been doing TTRPG streams for 6 years. We want to teach you how to use OBS and Streamlabs, and we want to show you how to do that too.
Great, because I could definitely take those modules. That'd be very helpful to me, as evidenced of tonight.
Totally fine. Can't stop internet.
No, but that makes perfect sense because, like, the thing that we haven't talked about is these games are online. These are not going to be in-person games that you're like coming to Arcane Circle for, which potentially, I don't know if there's like some meetup group thing that you could put in the side. You have like Arcane Nights. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible. We just have to like for right now, I haven't thought about it, but there is possibility of that happening. But one of the pillars is it safe? So we would need to have a structure built out to make sure that people do feel safe when they go to a physical event or a meetup. Yeah. Like, honestly, I think every company, any company out there, their end goal is it'd be great to have a convention. People who come by who are really excited, like Arcane Circle, ACCon. By the way, that was another inside joke, but a mention for Arcane Circle. It's AC. What's your AC?
Hey.
Yep.
That went right over my head all night. That's good. Is that the slogan? What's your AC?
Our slogan is Adventure Awaits, but it's definitely going to be one of those marketing tags we'll put somewhere hey, what's your AC?
That's good. It's a low-hanging fruit. Use it.
Oh, yeah.
No, but I love that. And I hope that you can continue to keep those pillars strong and not turn into a massively successful, wildly profitable, who gives a fuck about the consumer agglomeration that we've all seen. But from our discussion tonight, I think that you guys have a good sense of who you are, who you want to be, and with the players at heart, because you guys are our players and our GMs.
Yeah. And it's funny to touch on those companies. I know why it happens. And the only reason why I know it happens is because either I've been a part of multi-million dollar companies, and running my own company now, I understand where that mentality comes from. I'm not saying this is the only reason why, but I know that there are aspects of a company where it comes to like funding and going out for venture capitalists. Like that is something that can definitely rock a company where your goals now shift and realign to how can we pump out, as much money as we can, which I think for any business, that's absolutely a goal, but there needs to be a responsible use for it.
Right.
There needs to be either you made so much money now, you should hire more people to grow the company, to offer more things to people. You should spend the wealth on growing other people. Something that I've thought about for a very long time is we've written down, and we're far away, we're not far, but we're a distance away from hiring external, like getting like our first hires.
Sure.
As founders, we can run the company as we currently are, no problem. But we know there will be a time where we have to expand. And we've already looked into the idea of like, what is minimum wage? Great. We have that here. And then we think, what is a livable wage? And then we go, great. Now we know what a livable wage is. We don't go below that. We'll never go below that. And that's sort of the mentality for like full time. Like if you're working for us and you're now part of the community and part of the family, I hate that, by the way. Any company that says you're part of the family, I'm sorry.
It's like people that like have no imposter syndrome. I don't trust that.
The moment I hear a company say, we're a family, shut up. You're not. You are, if it's one of the mentalities, I'm like, if you're working for Arcane Circle, you're working. It's a job. And you want to live off of the job, and you don't want to worry that next month you don't have a safety net. Right. So that's definitely sort of the idea. We even like early on, all the founders, we already agreed that upon first hires, like full time, we know that those people, they're going to have, was it the 32-hour work weeks? Like we're going to adopt the whole 4-day work week. Enjoy another day with family.
Well, I better get my modules going so that one day maybe I can apply.
It's and full marks to my previous job. They're the ones who instilled, and which is really funny because they were an AI forward company, but they instilled that mentality that a company should take care of you, and they took care of me. So I want to push that forward.
That's great. I'm so glad that they did that for you because it's helped create it's Arcane Circle, and it'll give you the opportunity to create Arcane Circle. I'm actually very, very excited to see where this goes. Like from our conversation tonight, I do have like a good feeling like this is going to succeed, mostly because I don't think that you would allow it not to.
No, if the boat is going down, I'm gonna have a bucket.
Yeah. And I think it's something that people really want and need. And I like the low buy-in of being able to sit at home. Like you don't have to have all these things and meet up with people that you don't know. Like you can easily just sit in your comfort zone with your plushie and your cocoa and feel good about at least that space. And if you need to, you can always jump away and bail if that's too uncomfortable for you. But I think this is a really cool platform that you're creating, and I love that it's got everything that the GMs and players would need.
Yeah, it is just lucky that we are GMs who are building something for GMs, and I think that's a mentality that I don't think we'll ever lose because we have decades of experience. It's just part of our blood now.
Yeah, but I have to say you can't use for GMs by GMs because it's I think we have a patent on FGBG that order. So unfortunately, we will be litigious.
You got it. I will keep that in mind. Luckily, you're also talking to the person who's doing marketing, so I will keep it. They will not cross our lips.
You know what? It's really just going to help our SEO. More people searching for it. So by
you're right. Maybe we'll have some sort of collaboration working on. Who knows?
Well, before I let you go, I got a few lightning round questions that I want to hit you with.
Let's go.
You ready?
Let's go.
Okay. There's 20 questions. First answer that comes to mind. Don't think too hard. 5 seconds or less. Follow your gut. It's all about TTRPGs.
You got it.
Okay, ready? Dice tower, rolling on the table.
Rolling on the table.
Nat 20 or critical fail, which is more fun?
Critical fail.
Favorite dice color?
Blue.
Do you prefer crunchy rules or fast and loose play?
Fast and loose.
Minis, tokens, or pure theater of the mind?
Tokens.
Favorite D&D class to play?
Wizard.
Least favorite class to play?
Warlock.
Long campaigns or one-shots?
One shots.
Ooh, that was a toughie. Forgotten.
That hurt me to say it out loud, by the way. That really hurt me. I don't know why that did. You caused me some damage today.
Emotional damage. Forgotten Realms or Homebrew Worlds?
Homebrew.
Digital dice rollers or physical dice?
Physical.
Ooh, and with an online platform even. Do you fudge dice rolls as a DM, yes or no?
Oh, absolutely.
What's scarier, mimics or gelatinous cubes?
Mimics.
Tavern start, classic or cliche?
Oh, classic.
What's the best D&D edition?
I've only played 5e.
Oh, is multi-classing genius or a headache?
Oh, headache.
Would you rather play as a character with 1 HP forever or 1 spell slot forever?
Oh, me as a person? I have an answer for you, but I want to clarify that. Or as a character?
As a character.
As a character?
Yeah.
I'll say 1 spell slot forever.
As a person?
As a person? Just 1 spell slot forever. My con is never dumped.
All right. Dragons, majestic overlords or overused villains?
Overused villains.
Do you prefer playing heroes or morally gray characters?
Morally gray.
Best snack game at the table?
I'm a candy person.
Oh, okay. Which kind?
Sour Patch.
I took you as a Sour Patch.
Yeah.
If your dice betrayed you 3 sessions in a row, do you retire them or punish them?
Punish.
Hello.
Well, you know how sometimes you just forget that you had dice in your pocket when you start to do the laundry? I intentionally put that in my pocket.
Wow, you dice launderer, you.
Get clean.
Think about your life. Think about your actions.
Yeah. You know what? Wash up.
Mike, this has been awesome. I'm very excited for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate, honestly, being invited and having the time to chat with you. I enjoyed my time immensely.
Good. I will send you your check for saying that later.
You got it?
No, honestly, I was scrolling on our feed one day and it came across yours and I'm like, what's this? And without like a second glance, I shot you a message. I'm like, this just sounds... And I'll tell you, before I even looked too deep into it, I was like, I want to know more about this. Just see if come on. And you guys, I think it was Amber. Shout out to Amber.
Yeah.
She messaged back immediately. So you got a good team on your hands. And with a good person, good people at the helm. So I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I very much appreciate it. And yeah, Amber's always on top of things, which I'm grateful for because my scatterbrain is doing 30 things at once. Much love to, honestly, the community who has followed me so far. Like we have 60 GMs already waiting in the wait list. I'm so excited. And I've been able to GM for players of all sorts, and all of them have been so kind and inviting, and it really allowed me to get really involved in the community. Shout out to our CTO who, honestly, almost every week he's like, dude, I added a new thing. And I'm like, dude, I didn't even ask you and you're already doing it? Great, thank you. And I'm really appreciative of the community, yourself included, involved, for really kind of spreading the love. And I can't thank you enough.
Well, we all need people to geek out with at all hours of the day because if we don't do it, then we wouldn't know that there's more people like us out there. So if you guys have really related with anything that Mike has said or along the Arcane Circle, then please use command Arcane in the chat now, or you can find there's the link in the description below and get yourself either on the wait list or as a GM. Ideally, that everything's live for players and more GMs in a few weeks for people to start to get invited more and more in and watch this thing snowball into hopefully something really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining us for tonight's Geek Out Sesh with Mike from Arcane Circle. Keep coming back. We've got more, especially in October. We have some spooky things coming on. We might be talking to an actual witch. And we've got actually the lead model maker from Wednesday coming on the show.
Oh, rad.
That I'm super excited about. So there's a lot more to come. Make sure you keep coming back. But until next time, I am Bozer.
I'm Mike.
And you just keep
Geeking
out. Got it. Nailed it.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.